Right, our second family here, the Leem Puttens, which have been racing for a few years. Got our first ones in 1998, direct from Wright Brothers. These pigeons were recommended by Keith Gott. You might have heard me mention him before. The Dark Destroyer, great buzzard man, but always on the lookout for something new. And he rang me and said, "Get yourself into some of these before everybody jumps on the bandwagon." And in 1998 I ordered 10 of them, and amongst those 10 was Malcolm. First and only pigeon ever to top the Ulster fed outright 3 times. First fed, fourth fed, 7th fed, I think 8th or 9th, and 11th fed. Retired at 3 years of age. Fed was over 100 years old at the time, and no pigeon had ever done it. So he was a bit unique that way, but these birds were actually recommended to me as a cross into the buzzards. But I liked them so much that I decided, no, we'll leave them on their own and see how they go, because they were basically a sprint family. And we've kept them on their own. The few that we have crossed have flown extremely well. Some we've bred for other fanciers have bred extremely well and raced well. Raymond Russell and the big club in Lisburn there won Penzance last year by 38 yards a minute with a buzzard Leem Putten cross. In our own club, young lad Jim Campbell was second club, hard race, buzzard Leem Putten cross. But we haven't really tried crossing them that much because we like to keep our families basically just split the way they are, buzzard Leem Putten, Vanderbilt. But these birds, I say, come to us from Wright Brothers Direct, who had been pals with Louis van Leem Putten. Louis was sprint champion of his region for 25-30 years running. No one could touch him, and these pigeons were basically only racing from 60-70 mile every week. And Wright Brothers got them, brought them over to England, and right away hit off with them. Right out to 200 miles, these pigeons were knocking everything down. Nobody knew what they were. These pigeons just came like a storm out of nowhere. And a couple of people that got them, I think one of the originals was a guy called Robinson, and he had a pigeon Porky with 17 firsts. But I got them in 98, brought them in, and got Polly with the Wright Brothers over the years, and they had been sprint champions in their region and around their area for about 30 years with them. So a long lane of winning history with these pigeons, and they're not these newfangled strains that you'll hear of one week and the next week they're gone. These are basically an inbred family. Very few crosses ever brought in them, except when the Wrights felt that it was necessary, and they were very particular about what they brought into them. So they have asked me to take on the family because, unfortunately, like the rest of us, they're moving up in years and their health isn't what it used to be, and they're getting into more middle distance racing. So they have asked me to take on what Louis had asked them to take on. When Louis died, he said the birds were not to be sold, and they were all left to Wright Brothers in his will. Well, they have now presented me with basically 90% of all their stock, the Leem Putten stock, and asked me to carry on because they didn't want the family dispersed or broke up. So we are carrying on racing with them here, and last year, particularly the young ones, flew very well for us. My young lad flew the young birds on the dark. We ended up highest prize winner, and it was basically a mixture of the 3 families. But if you want something that'll sprint hard in any weather, especially headwinds, shoulder winds, up to 200, 250, these are the pigeons. A couple of other fanciers just winning with them. Rob Gore, I think, a couple of years ago in the Valley, had 10 firsts. Well, his Leem Puttens came from here, and most of the pigeons that were winning for him were Leem Puttens. His clubmate, Spence Brothers, I know Brian Spence a long time, and I just met him one day, and Polly with his cousin Raymond Russell. I sent him out 4 birds as a gift. I know 2 of them have won, and one of them is a second, and they've flown very well for him. Only has them a couple of years, but a long list of people winning with these pigeons, right back to Walters and Broadhurst, who actually put these pigeons out as Wildermish pigeons, but they weren't. They were Leem Putten pigeons, and when they came to the clearance sale, it was proven by the ring numbers of the pigeons where they came from. But as I say, a long line of winning with these pigeons up to 200 mile. Great sprint pigeons, great headwind pigeons, have great wings. A lot of people mistake them for buzzards because of the old heavy wattle pigeons and a lot of darks in them. Lovely eye pigeons, great in the hand. A bit of variation in them. Some of the hens are small, some of the hens are big, but that just depends on what lane you're working on. You know, Roy has told me they work on a couple of different lanes, the 95 lane, the 65 lane, but these were all phenomenal races for them and phenomenal producers. And the birds have never got the recognition they deserve because they're not, the rates aren't publicity seekers. They're very quiet, very modest fanciers. And they don't push them, in my eyes, they never push them enough for people because they've done more than some of the newfangled wonder strains out there that have ever done. These pigeons have went up North Combine, win Ulster Feds, win South Road Fed. Guy in Dublin, Sean McGovern, raced for about 15 years with these pigeons and couldn't be touched. But as I say, they never hit the headlines and they were never put up in lights. And that's basically down to rates not wanting to have big publicity and people around the place because they've had their stock lofts broken in 2-3 times. But the majority of them here now, Jackie McErlane, another good fancy in the Ulster Fed, these were the pigeons that done it for him. I know John Abernethy has bought them and Derek Power has bought into them no later than a couple of weeks ago. Kev Parsons bought into them. So astute fanciers know what they're dealing with here. The cream of them, the best of them, and I mean the best of them, are here. And that's due to Wright Brothers and their trust in me and asking me to take this family on and carry on the winning with them, which we have been doing and hopefully will continue to do. So we'll start off and give you a look at a couple of the pigeons just in the hand, and hopefully if the lights right outside we'll show you a look at a couple of the eyes. Every pigeon you're seeing here basically will have bred something or win itself. They have cocks out there with 5 and 6 wins. They have cocks out there that are bred 8 and 9 firsts, and hens that are unbelievable. I could go on and on for another 2 or 3 hours about the results of these pigeons, but anybody that has any queries or any doubts, just ask. The paperwork's there to prove everything I'm saying. So we'll start off here with a couple of cocks. Now, this blue cock here, he's getting on a bit, although you wouldn't think it looking at him. He's an 05 pigeon. His name is Big Blue II. This cock has first fed, second fed and fourth fed, and that's only his fed-raised positions. What a beautiful pigeon, would win any show in the country. He actually looks a bit like a show pigeon. Best balance that you'd ever ask for, and as tame as a robin. Throws good pigeons. We got him a few years back from Wrights when I started taking on the main stock pigeons. Show you the wing, typical sprint wing, nice step there. I don't know how clear that's coming out in the video, but there's a nice step in that pigeon's wing for sprinting. And as his records proved, this is a sprint pigeon. He'll face anything in any kind of wind, any kind of weather, and has done it and proved it. So that's him, Big Blue II. Yes, and my invisible helper here brings the basket in. That's wee Frankie the furry. Thank you, Franco. Another typical Leem Puttens cock here, blue pigeon. A different lane from the last cock, and you could, if you were handling him, you'd feel it. This one slightly longer, but the thing you heard me talk about earlier were the buzzards and the wing. There you are. If we can get a look there, the last 3 flights there, especially the last 2, are the same length. The only difference is with these being sprinty, they'll have a slightly more of a step in the wing than the more distance pigeons. But again, this cock bred us good winner last year, bred winners for other fanciers, has won on the road in England and bred winners. His paperwork there, I think, tells you in the paperwork he had won the Fed and 3 first clubs. Unfortunately, Malcolm, not being at his best health-wise, hasn't got all the pedigrees up to date. This cock has actually won more than what it says in the paperwork. But lovely gravelly eye pigeon, has produced good pigeons and will continue to produce good pigeons, but these are typical of the Van Leem Puttens pigeons. A lot of blues, a lot of checks, a lot of darks. No real mealies, page, or red page, anything like that. This boy here, no dark cock. This was Wright Brothers' #1 producing cock before he came over. Typical old dark pigeon. There's a nice wing, and there is a good step. I don't know how close you can get to that, but if you look at the step back there, you have a half an inch of a step in that sprint wing, and your last 3 flights are coming up pretty even. So I believe it's a trait in a good pigeon, not necessarily a trait in a distance pigeon. Again, nice narrow tail. But this is why people confuse him for the old Corbett buzzards. If you can see that cock, he's typical of the old dark buzzards. Big heavy head, big heavy wattle. It's a super eye pigeon, by the way. Real old gold eye. But this cock, I think, at this stage must have produced up in the at least 25, 30 first prize winners. He's been over there. He's an 05 pigeon, or sorry, an 04 pigeon, but has produced winner after winner, and a lot of his sons are multiple first prize winners, not just a one-off. So these go right back, this cock and his lane go right back to Myers Brothers, up north combine winners. A few fanciers in the up north combine have topped these pigeons. As I said earlier, Walters and Broadhurst were using these pigeons, claiming they were wildermish. They not. They are, as the rings proved, they were Wright Brothers pigeons from Doncaster. Well, there's two cocks. No, sorry, three cocks. We've won a couple of hens now. I picked a few younger hens, some that we've bred ourselves here from the come over, but I brought them in just to show they're still keeping the same shape, the same colour, the same balance. Peas in a pod, basically, these pigeons. There's I think this hen is 2010, yeah, that's one direct from Wrights. And if you look at the shape of that head, especially the bit under the throat here, that goes back to an old hen that had an 04 hen. The hen won 3 firsts as a young bird, and went on to be one of their best producers. But when I got her over, I noticed this thing in the throat, and I noticed the lane, the pigeons through her lane, all of this thing under the throat here, you'll see it there. Pretty unique to these pigeons, but again, she's through that old hen because of her eye, because they carry that, what would, a lot of people would call a flat racing eye. Well, to me, the flat racing eye into that well broke up iris is the pigeon that'll keep you going. But that's just typical of the dark Leem Putten pigeons there. I could bring 20 more in like this, but you know what you're dealing with. When you've seen one of them, they're all basically the same. There's another little dark check hen. Our own ring on it this time. This hen's a 14 pigeon that we've just moved over. She was raised as a young bird, used as widowhood for a year, but I like the shape of her in the hand, and I've decided we're going to try and use her for stock. Last 3 flights again, and again for me, not unique to distance pigeons, just unique to good pigeons. You can see not so much of a step in this pigeon, but as the years goes on, that step actually becomes more pronounced. But typical Leem Putten, very good eye pigeon, this, very good eye. Looking forward to the young'uns of her and what way they perform on the road. But she has kept the shape, nice apple body pigeon, not too large in the hand. My own preference is for a smaller hen. I think the smaller hens can cope with it adverse weather better than the big lumpy pigeons. And the last hen of this lane, this is one of the producing hens. She is 09B. Now, we had a winner off this hen last year for someone else that I bought them. Rob Gore has got through this hen and produced good pigeons. A blue-paid cock out there that I could have brought in has bred 2 for Rob, but this goes back till the old 03 hen. I think her number was 01251 of Wrights. That hen over and over and over again crops up in the pedigrees. A very pre-potent producer and unusual in hen for that, but everything from her basically is either bred or win. Again, the wing, look, nice space between the last flights. People will tell you this is a distance thing, and a lot of people confuse these for distance pigeons. Good pigeons have good wings no matter what, but I like that nice thin flights in the end and a gap between them. And if I held the 3 of them together, there's only a couple of mil of a difference between those flights. Again, these pigeons just come. I don't push them out any further really than Skibbereen, which is about 250. But I know all our fanciers would put it further and got in with them. But to me, what I was told by Wright Brothers, these are sprint pigeons. Sprint them to get the best results out of them. So that's what we do with them. Well, I hope you like what you're seeing. We'll wrap up with these and have a look at a couple of the eyes. And Then we move on to the Vanderbilis.